Hi, good day, everyone. I am Amito, the founder of The Curious. So we are a L&D consultants based in Hong Kong. We focus on APAC market, and oftentimes also work with consultants from Europe who are looking for a facilitator to adopt your content, but want to tweak it into fitting the APAC flavor. So first of all, I think this is my first appearance in an European and American friendly time zone, partly because I'm currently traveling in South and North America since October, and I'm at Peru, Cusco right now. So bless me with the internet connection. And then secondly, is another thing I think is very important is that I believe it's more common for client in Asia to hire consultant and facilitator from Europe and America than the reverse. So the Asian way of doing things, how we design and how we deliver, how we facilitate during the session might not be often seen or being heard. So I'm actually quite excited to share something with you today. So from my personal background, I have 14 years experience working in the L&D industry. So you could imagine I've seen and worked with hundreds of facilitators over the years. Something that I noticed about the Western, so I'm going to use the Western way. I'm not sure if that would be too generalized or too like stereotypical, but I'm going to use this term anyway. So Western way of delivery sometimes doesn't quite fit with Asian learners. And today I'm going to debunk some myth and share a few tips for you. So next time, if you ever were to design or deliver a session with Asian learners in the room, you don't get like too nervous or you don't get intimidated or confused by the quiet and but yet very friendly faces, or sometimes called poker faces. You don't really know what's going on in the room. Your sensation is like, what is going on with this group of people? So I want to debunk some myth for you. And even if you might not be facilitating for Asian learners, I noticed that for other learners from different continents who are oftentimes quoted as shy and introverted, sometimes our clients say, oh, our group of staff is very shy and introverted. Don't take that literally. This is merely assumptions. So today I'm going to share with you a few tips. So first of all, I want to see if anyone of you here have seen the Netflix documentary show called Midnight Asia. Click. And so Midnight Asia is a documentary by Netflix in 2022. So it features six countries in each episode. It features one country. So in daytime, people in Asia, it's very compliant, diligent, and maybe quiet. But at nighttime, you could see in different episodes, for example, in Tokyo, daytime, people are very formally dressed in very orderly offices. But in nighttime, if we look at the poster, there is an 85 years old DJing in the club, like hyping. And then, for example, in South Korea, like they're like commuting keeping themselves very in composure, but in the dark, like K-pop street performers, like doing very high energy crowd. And even in Manila, there's like underground rapper battling. So actually, I highly recommend you guys to watch this show if you're ever interested in Asia. But what I want to use this example, besides my favorite show, is that how do we click the switch for you to engage learners who are in their daytime mode and switch them into nighttime, which they might look very different. They're more energetic, they're fun, they're interesting. So I'm going to debunk some myths first, and maybe a few clicks from Lavina. Thank you. And so I want to get the basic right. So oftentimes we hear that people in Asia are very like respect hierarchy and respect authority, which is true, which is their daytime mode. But in our session, we want to get them into a more nighttime mode, what is that? As opposite of authority, it would be authenticity. We have like in our day-to-day work, even in our media, like we hear about authority a lot of the times. Like for example, in a session, what would be authority in a session would be you quoting like famous researchers or some quotes from celebrity would be authority, or how many years you have been working with certain client. Actually, it doesn't really matter that much for Asian learners. We're looking for authenticity, people who have walked the talk. You have been in their shoes. You have been in what they're experiencing. They will believe you more than you quoting something from authority, because we have heard enough in our daytime mode. This is first. And second thing is theory. I noticed that a lot of Western facilitators use a lot of theories, and which worked. it worked. But at the same time, if you look at the evaluation, the feedback from the evaluation happy sheet, you'll notice that oftentimes you will see more use case, more case studies. It's because if you look at, well, for example, the development of AI in Western world, a lot of time the application is the time they focus on is doing the research, getting the ethic, also the theory, also the philosophical and abstract right. But if you look at Asia, the application is already happening right away, like drones delivery to from when they shop from online, they have drone delivery, robot delivery right away already. So if you're in a session, besides the theory, we want you to focus more on the use case. How is it relevant to their own context in day-to-day life and also in workplace? So this is a second. Focus less on the theory, but more on how is it actually relevant to them. I see a lot of times that Western facilitators say, oh, think of like I'll give you 3 minutes now. Think about how this theory could be applicable in your workplace. This question doesn't work because they want you to tell them how it is actually relevant. If not, you have lost them already. When you've lost them, it's very hard to gain their attention again. But from their face, you can't really read them. They have to be disengaged already. And the third thing is free will. A lot of times, Western facilitator, we see that it was like, okay, we run a session now, we're going to do brainstorming. And then one question in the screen, and then that's it. And give them 15 minutes, like quite long time for them to do freestyle, which sometimes doesn't work because, and what work would be you giving them more clarity. What is this activity supposed to be about? What is your intention? What is the objective? No guessing, because in the daytime mode, in high context society like Asia, we are guessing the meaning of our leaders all the time already. So in a workshop, please don't let us guess what you're trying to do. Tell us what you're trying to get us to do. Well, what is the meaning behind these activities? So the clarity is very important, or else you would get a lot of model answers, standard answers. But as facilitator, I believe that in our session, we want to get beyond the surface, go beyond the model answers and go deeper. This is the value of in-person or virtual facilitation that get in life real time. So the fourth one is individual versus collective. So if you ask a question like, okay, who in the room has a question or a challenge in your work that you could share? You would get silence in the room. But if you do you want to engage them, ask them to, okay, I'll give you a couple of minutes to share in the group what are your challenges, and then ask one group representative. So what does this group think? And oftentimes you will get both. You get the group thinking, and also they'll add in the question. Oh, personally, I actually have challenge at this work. Whereas if you just ask who has a challenge, nobody has a challenge. So the final point is verbal versus visual. A lot of times I notice that a Western facilitator and also Western learner are more expressive. They're more comfortable in expressing their thoughts. And that's actually could be a little bit challenging for Asia to like expressing their thought. So using visual aids like Lego that Syed mentioned, and also visual cards, images cards would be very useful for helping Asian learner to express their view. So these are getting the basic right. So the final thing is I just want to wrap up with 3 tips. So the first tip is to preview everything in the beginning, like the agenda. And the purpose is not to get exactly what the journey is about. It's about how much involvement you would like us as the participant to involve it with you. Do you want just like several words? Do you want us to like express our view? Like how much engagement do you want us to be engaged during your journey, your courses? And the second tip is visual over verbal. I've mentioned this already. And the third tip is end with collective. Always at the end of session, ask collectively what you have learned about in the session. So this is how do you get beyond the quiet? And I want to like after this like moments, I want you the next time, if you ever encounter Asian learners, don't get nervous, and you will see their face lights up if you become more personal, authentic, and also not so authoritative, not so formal as well. So this is a few tips to share with this audience. Thank you.